this session is about single directory components in Drupal 10. We will have a detailed overview of what actually single directory components are, but that will be in the middle of the session. Initially, we will be installing Drupal in Lando, so that if somebody is doing it for the first time, they will be able to follow all these steps and set up a new Drupal theme in Drupal 10. Then once Drupal is installed, we will set up the theme, then install SDC and related modules. We will also set up Tailwind CSS, which is a very powerful utility-based framework. Then Alpine Js also via Drupal library. I will show you the difference between using Drupal's own behavior-based JavaScript and how helpful can Alpine Js be for us. Then we will create an accordion through the skills we have learned in this session. It will be actually one-to-one from Storybook and Drupal. We also will set up Storybook after we have a set up custom theme, and this actually will be YAML based Storybook, not like you are used to React based. So that Drupal has its tweak templates in YAML, so they both will be in sync. I will demo that as well. So let us start. I have prepared a document with all the steps, so we will follow. Initially, let us install Drupal, my folder of Drupal sites. We will create a new one. I will call it SDC. And it is going to be Lando in it initially. Yes. The Drupal 10. What is it? Web. SDC. And that's it. So first steps are over. Now what actually it has done, anybody?
It has created Lando.yml.
Exactly. So if I go to .sdc, it will have a .lando.yml now. The next step is to run this command. Lando Composer create project Drupal recommended. It will install the latest Drupal 10 version. So let us do it. So Drupal is being downloaded via Lando's Composer. So if you issue the command core recommended in this one recommended project, so it will always download the latest version, though we hadn't specified it, but Drupal core 10.2.1 has been downloaded. there are always weird things associated with demos, so this is acceptable if it is taking time. Okay, the next step is to start Lando, which we will do now. Lando start. When all these URLs are green, that's one of the happiest moments of your life, because there are always issues when these are red, but right now they are green. So we have successfully installed Drupal, but we actually need to go through the installation process of Drupal as well. So what we will do is, the next step is we need Drush, and for those who are new to Drupal, Drush is Drupal's command line tool. So we will install it via Lando's composer. Drush has been installed. The next step is to install the Drupal site itself. So this is the command: Lando Drush site install db URL is Drupal 10. If you are using Lando for an existing site, so these are the credentials normally: Drupal 10 and Drupal 10, which you will need to set up in settings.php. Drupal has been installed, and the next step is we need to check which URL has this site been installed on, and then okay, so let us do that. Lando info will let us know the local URL of the site, so this is that URL. And let us open it in the browser. Congratulations, Drupal has been installed. The next step is that I need to log in, and we would have been provided some dummy password. So let us check that somewhere here. Yes, this one. While Drush installs Drupal this way, it provides you a password. Login. The first step is to just change the password, admin password, so that current password is that, and 1 2 3 4 5 6. Save. That's it. Now for any new Drupal site, you need to install themes, new themes. Okay, so what have you been doing so far? How many of you have used the Drupal 10 starter kit command? So 100 marks to Abdullah. The next thing is we will create a custom folder inside the themes directory, and then we will issue a command which will create the custom theme for us, Drupal theme for us. So first things first, let us open this site in Visual Studio so that things are easier for us. Okay, so inside the themes we will create a folder called custom. That's what we need. Then on the command line we will go inside the web directory and then run this command: php core scripts Drupal generate theme, and the name of the theme is going to be Drupak starter kit, and the path is themes custom. It's very self-explanatory. So we will run it php core scripts Drupal, and it will generate a theme which will be named as Drupak underscore starter kit, and then themes custom. That's what we need. And with this one command, all the files of the your theme will be there. Theme generated successfully, themes custom Drupak starter kit. So if I open it now, this is such a handy command in Drupal 10, and I absolutely am in love with it. So if I go to custom, and then this is that Drupak underscore starter kit. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, so we now have a new theme, and what's the next step when we have a theme? We'll go to appearance and install and make it default. This is that theme which we have just generated, Drupak underscore starter kit, this. So install and set as default. Is this okay? If I now come to the site, we will have a very ugly page, but still we are happy we have a new theme which we will build on. The next step is, any guesses? We already have gone through the 7 step. Now the very sort of interesting part of this demo, we need to have Node.js on Lando, and then I had issues with CORS regarding Storybook integration with Drupal. So this was one of the findings for me to enable the EN module, A2 EN module. And also this is actually, this never worked last time, so it was reload. Okay, then when the machine boots up again, the Lando containers, it should restart Apache 2 for me. Then these ports were also important for some reasons while I had to debug a lot of stuff. So this is what we will post this on our website also, this file. But right now let me just copy all this to my lando.yml. Remember when we issued the command lando init, it created this file .lando.yml in the root. So right now it is this SDC, the name of the this file, this whole Lando installation is SDC. We will just change it, but the rest we will just paste all that. So SDC is Drupal 10 web root is web services. So it installs Node.js, and then these headers which are very important for me for CORS, and these ports are being mapped internally and externally. Then we have Node and PM, and these will also be installed for tooling. For some reasons yarn doesn't work for me, but let it be here as well. Maybe there is a better way of installing yarn on Lando. I will leave it to you, but these three will work for sure. Now these are critical changes inside the Lando environment. So what we need to do is Lando start won't work, Lando rebuild probably. So we will run Lando rebuild. But I have to move one step out now because we already have installed the new theme. Lando rebuild. Yes, we want to rebuild it. Now let us wait what it does for us. It will install all of these tooling related stuff into our Lando machine or setting. And any guesses why are we installing Node.js?
We want to use npm packages.
Exactly. And a lot of Storybook stuff as well. I'm glad again because all the URLs are green. Hopefully the things we wanted to install have been installed. How would you check if there is now node on your Lando machine? Lando node dash version. So it's 16.20.2. If I check the same node version on my local, maybe it is different. That's why installing it inside Lando was very important for us, because if I have to ship this to your machines, it will be easier with the versions, the same version. Node. So it's on my local is 18.12.1 and on Lando it is 16.20.2. So we can update that as well, but that is not the issue right now. Our purpose is being served by this version of Node as well on Lando. The next step is we need to install the core SDC module and the CL underscore server. How many of you have heard about CL underscore server module? If you haven't,
I don't use it.
okay. So the first thing is we need to enable SDC module. So we can do it from drush Lando drush en SDC -y. Good, SDC has been enabled. The next one is CL underscore server Drupal. Let me just give you some brief. Before SDC going into Drupal core, there used to be component libraries module. So it was again our inspiration effort, this one, that he has built this module. It actually sorts of integrates Storybook with Drupal. It helps a lot, this module. So this is necessary actually. We will go to his installation, this copy. It's also mentioned in the steps we have. So the next step is Lando Composer required Drupal CL server. Good. So it has been installed. Now what's the next step? We will enable it as well. So Lando dash en this -y. Okay, one note on using Storybook with Drupal. I had to spend a lot of time debugging why it was actually not working because of the cost setting. So these were the settings I ended up with, which actually worked. But problem actually was in my cost setting, I would say. So Drupal, the Storybook instance was not giving me a clue of what the error actually was. So I had to write some custom jQuery to access the same Drupal site, and then that error was verbose enough to just debug it. So actually, if you are having the same problem, what you need to do is you just need to access your website for some API, and maybe you are able to get some more meaningful error which you can then debug. But these are the settings in for course which I need to do. And CL server basically is used on development environments. It should not be advised, it is not advisable to use it in production. So this is that setting actually. If you need to check off this setting, it will be false then on production. But right now it needs to be true, and I will copy these values to development.services.yml for now. So sites default, sorry, where it is, this is sites location, and probably it goes inside the parameter section if I'm not wrong.
I think so.
Okay, we can place it, if it is not working we can place it inside the services.yml as well. But for now let us open it. So we will be having yes, it is inside the parameters section. Also we need to get settings.local.php. This is example.settings.local.php, so you will just rename it. And the next step is to move it inside default.
Permission.
What just happened? The page have been deleted. Maybe some double mouse effect has caused it, or settings.local.php. It actually asks you paste.
Permission issue.
Let us do it the other way. Settings.local.php. So if it works, well and good. Otherwise, then I was just hoping for this window to appear. So it has been now moved inside the default folder. If we open it, there is some setting to make at the bottom of the page, probably somewhere. Sorry, it is in the settings.php, so that it is included. Is this fine? Okay, we probably need to set up caching, disable caching also, but for now let us do it copy that code from default.services. So debug is false, pick cache. Debug is true. Which other one we will have to change? That's good for now. Okay, so what we have done, we have created this is all necessary for any new Drupal site if you are developing it. So we have enabled the settings.local.php and development.services.yml. What next steps we need to go through? Okay, there were a few steps involved in setting up Storybook. So they are if you go to the documentation, for example this one, this is a good start on this GitHub page. This one, not this actually. Where is this documentation link? Yes, this one. So this is Drupal Storybook add-on. This is a add-on which further brings integration between Storybook for YML, Drupal's theme and Storybook. So it has documentation involved, which actually is somewhere, the link is here. This page is very, I will give its reference in the blog post, or maybe I will send you this link. So it has all the steps for setting up this installation. You can always go as a reference to this page, but here if you see yarn in it, and some of these links were not working for me in Lando, so I have turned it into npm installs, and there were some debugging involved which I have already set up. So for you it is very easy now, because this document, this is what you need to place inside the package.json file which we will create now. So you don't need to go through all those custom commands. You will just issue npm install, and all of these will be installed. This will install actually Storybook rather than issuing individual commands. So how to create a package.json file? Anybody? Good. So in the root of the document where you have installed your, this is crucial. This step involves setting package.json file in your Lando root, okay, not the theme root. So I will go to SDC as I am in the root now. Here we will but remember to precede all commands with Lando, because we are working in Lando. If we don't do so, it will do it on our operating system. Lando npm init. So the name of the package will be whatever. We will call it Drupak custom theme or whatever. Version is this. All of these are very self-explanatory, and we just press on enters, and all that we need to do is just go through all the enters, and that's it. It has created a package.json file for us, which is this one, package.json, just created. So what we need to do, we need to add these div dependencies. And why are they into div dependencies? Because we don't want to ship it into the final bundling. This will only be all of these will be involved while we are developing things. Once it is bundled, we will be linking that file with the theme JavaScript and CSS. But for now, we will add this key to the div dependencies. So somewhere here, let us do it. This is the Lullabots Storybook Drupal add-on. Then some Storybook related stuff, add-on links, the blogs, the server. So one more thing, it has installed Storybook's Webpack version for us, Webpack 5 version. If it actually is not related to directly with the React platform, it will do it via Webpack. This was very important for us. You can install React's version, but for now and for Drupal's integration with this CL server module, this one is necessary. So if you have to Google it yourself, you should learn how to install Webpack's Storybook version, then React itself and the Storybook. Why is this error? Because we need to have a comma. Okay, so anybody, what's the next step? We will do npm install, and again npm install for on Lando, not the local. So Lando npm install. What it will do is it will read that file package.json and install those div dependencies. One thing I should mention, while doing it individually all the commands, I was able to create a folder which this command doesn't, so we will do that manually, but it is all fine if we do it manually also. While this is being installed, you have to have two sorts of mentality while using Storybook and the SDC. These are two separate things. SDC is Drupal's stuff, like even if you don't have Storybook, SDC will work for you. But while integrating it with Storybook, the benefits are that you can show it to the client or to the managers that these are the designs. So there are two steps involved actually. Storybook is not Drupal stuff, and SDC is Drupal stuff. So you can go with SDC without Storybook actually, but in order to make your designs public before even you are integrating them in Drupal, we can use Storybook. So there can be times when your SDC components are working in Drupal, but they are not working in Congratulations, all of those elements have been installed. Now the next step is we need to add these two lines of code to the scripts section in package.json. So in these scripts we can delete this default one, but it will be there. And so what this will do is at any given time, if I run Lando npm run Storybook, so it will run Storybook for us. If I run Lando npm run build dash Storybook, so it will build it. Build it means, anybody, what would Storybook build mean?
It will compile as CSS files and things like that.
Exactly, it will compile it into public directory where it will be accessible over the web also, or you can even transfer it to your client. Okay, one necessary step before we proceed, and that is and this is the final JSON file which I will share in the okay, this is the step before starting Storybook. We need to create a folder. .storybook should be the name of it inside the root of the site. So here where your lender.yml is, we will create a new folder and we will call it .storybook. .storybook, and it has to have two files, main.js and preview.js. These are two files which need to go there. So prior to this demo, I have been working on another installation of Drupal. We can quickly copy those two files from there so that we can save time. This is Storybook .storybook. Let me just zoom it, and we have two files, main.js and preview.js. We'll just copy those two and move them to our site in the root. Sorry, not in the root, but .storybook folder.
It is inside the web, you have copied this.
No, it needs to go to so we will create new folder .storybook. Now I will open it in Blessing in Disguise. We have created it at the wrong place, so I will just delete it and go to the right one, .storybook. Let us explore what is there in these two files. So it lets you know what the add-ons are in this Storybook file. This is very important. Where are our stories? Stories are actually Storybook related files. So they can be inside themes, custom, components, and this. If Storybook can be inside the modules also. So any guesses if we have to use Storybook modules also? Right now we will be using Storybook components only from our theme. So we will duplicate this line and change it to modules also, right? Or maybe if you have any other custom locations. Again, that repetition I want to make is all this setting is not related with Drupal's functioning of SDC. It is all about Storybook setting with Drupal. So even if they are incorrectly set up, Drupal's SDC will still work. Okay, this is that framework. Maybe if you have installed a Storybook via React, so here the framework will be React. If it is Vue.js, maybe Vue.js. But right now you can call your installation as Webpack 5. Okay. And in preview.js, the most important, replace this with your Drupal site URL. So the URL of our site is sdc.lando.site probably. Let me confirm. sdc.lando, yes. So these are the two changes we had to make. Then it actually is a sort of reverse system. All these settings go from Drupal's theme to Storybook. So this is going to be the default Drupal theme we need to set. And these are all other themes. We won't go into details of, but our one is only the relevant one is this Drupak_starter kit, right? So that's it, which we needed only this. The next step is before even starting Storybook again, we need to have these files. Otherwise, it throws an error. We need to have these stories. So Storybook reads this, it doesn't find any components, that's why it throws an error and it doesn't start. So what we'll do is, again I will go back to that site and copy inside the themes, custom. This is that site which I had installed previously while preparing this demo. So it has a components folder. I'm again in the same site probably. Done SDC. Web. Themes. This. And components. That's the most important folder for you while using SDC. So even if you are creating components inside module, it has to be this folder. The name of it should be components. If it is inside the themes, still it should be components. So I will copy this one from this old site into the new one. And here we will paste it. It's fine. Okay, let me just open this and show you what it actually comprises of. Where we are at web, themes, custom, and components. Right now we have two components. I will use the toggler one once we have installed Alpine Js, but for now just focus on the accordion one. So the name of the folder should be the components should have all the directories. How many of you know about atomic design? So all the atomic design folders can reside inside it, but one thing you need to know, that the folder name should be the name of your component, otherwise it won't be read. And all the files which are inside the folder, they should also be of the same name. So for example, this is accordion, so this is the most important file which is needed for Drupal, accordion.component.yml. So if, for example, this is carousel, so it will be carousel.component.yml. If it is slideshow, so slideshow.component.yml. So the folder name and the file name should be the same. Then the CSS. This is the CSS related to this one component, .css. Again, this is, should be of the same name. This is JS of the same name. Okay, this one is accordion.stories.json. This one is for Storybook. This one is not for Drupal. This one is for Storybook, okay? And this one is the twig file related to this component. So these 5 files are very important, and you can have icons, images, whatever inside a folder. They will all be pertained to that particular component. So the most important file for Drupal to know its components is the .component.yml. Is this fine? Okay. Let us explore accordion.component.yml. What it does is, it has a name which is accordion with the props. Props are just like React props, if you know. Props, you can call them variables or properties or whatever. Then the type is object. Right now there is only one type. Maybe in future they have more types of props also, but mostly you will only see type props in these components, YMLs. Then the required, you can call this variable is required. So for now, if we have to use a variable called color, which I have used here, that can be either required or not. Maybe this is not very much it has any significance right now, but since schema is a key, we will know about it a bit later. We can use schemas also above the name, so there that is tackled if something is required or not. Then properties are actually a container for the variables to be used inside the twig file. So properties, I am using 2 variables, main title and color. So the type is text and title is this. You will see where it actually is, and then the color is this. This is all very self-explanatory. Then in the root level, up with props and name, we have one which is known as slots. Anybody, any idea about what slots can be? I will demo it once you see it. So slots actually is for the chunk of HTML. If something is not into, for example, very small variables, they go into slots. So let me give you an example. The body text in nodes in Drupal can have anything. For example, images, text, divs, whatever. You cannot parameterize things like those. Such things, or nested components you can call, they go into slots. So the variable name there is accordion. Is this fine? You will know what it actually means once we go into the twig files. The next step is accordion.stories.json. So this is for, as I said, for stories only, storybook only. This is not pertaining to Drupal. And in this collaboration of Drupal with Storybook, this can have a YML version also. So it is equally allowed if it is accordion.stories.yml. Right now I have used JSON for this one, but for the other component I have used in the toggler I have used .stories.yml. So both of them are very valid, and even if you go again to that setting, we have allowed .json.yml for that. Okay, this provides data for Storybook. Actually, this provides sample data. You can call it sample data for Storybook. So arguments, again, it's accordion. Argument types are, you will see when I run Storybook what all these mean. So let us run Storybook. I hope there won't be any errors. If there are any, so for now let me just delete the toggler component, maybe because there are some things left in it. I will delete it. So we have right now only one component. So the command to run Storybook is this: Storybook dev-p this, but since we have created a script for it, it's very easy to remember. We will just call it Storybook. Lando npm run Storybook. Hopefully, if there are no errors, it will create the Storybook instance for us. Congratulations, Storybook has installed, and again I should say I struggled a lot doing even this step because there were a lot of course issues for me, but luckily we are into it. So I'll just copy this URL and open it in one of the browser tabs. I have intentionally left one more error inside Drupal because again I will say I was very lonely figuring it out. Why was it not working? But hopefully you will be just very ready once. So if you go to permissions, that is CL server's permission. CL server, where is CL server? This one. So we need to give anonymous users this permission also to use the CL server endpoint, because Storybook accesses Drupal via this permission. I will just save it. Now hopefully if we refresh, that's it. This is this button will have some impact once this is not the button, but this is the Storybook instance. We have no Drupal site right now. We have no configuration done, no paragraphs, no nodes or whatever, but you can show to your client that this is how our accordion will be. Is this fine? This is all the concept about Storybook actually. So what the designer need to do is he will create these components folders where they are inside your custom theme components, all the possible items, molecules or whatever, and he will be looking into the Figma designs, doing all the stuff. Once the Drupal devs are ready, or once the design has been iterated, accepted by the client, then Drupal devs will start creating paragraphs or layout builder or whatever, and link those with these files. So this is actually that big file. So this is the main title, this variable, this is one variable, and this is actually the block which will be replaced by your paragraph or blocks or layout builder. I will demo that too. We will create a Drupal paragraph now, and for that we need to install paragraph module. Have you got the concept behind Storybook and why all this is very important? Before even starting things in Drupal, you will have a blank theme and you can play with Storybooks and design your markup, which you can then link with Drupal. Let it be running. We will create one more. Lando. How many of you have created accordions before in Drupal? Good. Okay, the next step is to enable the module. Lando, Rush, Ian, Para,
Graph.
graphs minus y. Okay. Any tip how will we create the paragraph, the accordion paragraph? It's going to be paragraph types. We'll call it, the first one will be paragraph item. Is this fine?
Yes.
Why paragraph item? Because this will be this will be wrapped inside a parent paragraph, and parent paragraph will reference this as an item. So we will create a field, call it accordion header or title, whatever, and it is going to be a plain text. This is a new interface for Drupal 10. Regarding, you will have to get used to it, to be very honest, because I was just surprised to see it. I have got to get used to it actually. And then it is going to be a required field and save. So this is the title of the accordion, and then accordion item description or whatever. It is going to be a plain it will be formatted text long, and continue. We need to have these two and save settings. Is this fine?
Yes.
We are now having two fields, title and description of the accordion. Next is, we will create the parent paragraph type. So we'll call it accordion. Accordion will house these inner items. So that's it. Now the new field will be accordion item, and we will, what will it be? It will be a reference field, entity reference revisions. Continue. And which content we want to access? Paragraph. And which bundle? The item one. Is this fine?
Yes.
Save. Okay. So we are good to go with this, but I want to have two more fields on this parent paragraph. The main section title, the main accordion title, and the color mode. Okay. So two fields. One is color mode. Color mode will be list text, where it is, rather it is text, and then the type will be list. No, select list. It is. These are those things which I am not used to yet, but hopefully we will get used to it very soon with the new interface. So list text. Continue. The values are dark and light, and that's it. Something is wrong or what? Okay. So we have created a field list text. Another one is accordion main title. It can be a section title for accordion. So that's why we are creating it, and let it be text plain as well, and continue. Save. Now we have almost we are almost done with the paragraphs part, but there's few things left still. Anybody?
We have used it in the content type.
Shabas, well done. So structure, content types, and let us make a field in the basic page one. Create a new field. We'll call it accordion. And which type it will be? Again, entity reference revisions. Because you have to, if you have to refer paragraphs, this type of field you will have to choose. And the reference type is going to be paragraph. Which one I should? Accordion. Mistakenly we have named it paragraph item, so it should be accordion item, so that somebody who is after you should know it is actually paragraph item. Is this fine now? Two more changes we need to make, because that always is very ugly with the default setting. But let us first rename the paragraph. This can be renamed, the machine name will be the same. So this is going to be accordion item. Is this fine? Notice the machine name is still paragraph underscore item. There are issues like these in initial site building when you end up on errors while starting to develop things. So you must be very, you should not be like me. You should be very careful naming your paragraphs. Save. Is it fine? We have changed the label, but the machine name is still there. We can take a break for prayers. See you after 10 minutes. Data structure for the accordion component in currently, which is inside the components folder. Now we need to have two small changes to the way paragraph field should display. So we will go to manage form display and we'll make it paragraph table, because then it is referencing field by default. And again we need to do the same for paragraph types, accordion manage display for the paragraphs stable version. This is fine. That's all we needed. The next step is we need to create one content for the accordion. So for example, accordion 1 is the node page title, and then we have the accordion title. So for example, we want to display Drupal courses here. So site building, what will be covered? Views, content types, fields, taxonomies or whatever. We will create another. Why is there no extra field? Anybody? Yeah, so we will make one more change again to the paragraph types, accordion manage fields, this one, and we will make it to unlimited. If I refresh the page, there will be now. So accordion 1 or Drupal courses we will call it. So the first one is Drupal site building, content types, views, what else? Rules, because I am a Drupal 7 guy. And add another item, will make another item. So this one is Drupal theme development. Now we can proudly say SDC, Tailwind CSS, quick and all. And then we can have another item as well, which will be Drupal module development. So it will be, for example, Symfony, controllers, Ajax or whatever. Okay, we should have moved these fields above them, but good now. For example, I want this accordion to be of dark color, and the main title will be or Drupal courses, and I will just save it. So we have saved all that content, but it doesn't look anywhere near to an accordion. Why? Because we haven't yet linked it to the Storybook components we have. So the next step is to do so. We will let me just inspect it. If they are not enabled the debugging properly, do we need to clear cache? It's still not working. In Drupal 10 there is an option from the admin screen where we can enable it, so let us try that. If it works fine. Where is it? This quick development mode enable. Let us do this one as well. Okay, these have been now enabled. If I refresh the page, hopefully so now we have some suggestions available. So by my experience, or even if I don't go to the paragraph dash accordion.twig.html is going to be the one we are looking for. This one. So these are the suggestions for this paragraph type. We need to have this one, paragraph dash accordion.html.twig. Let me zoom it in. This one, the second last one. So I already have created it on in my, to just save some time in the previous site I was working on. So I will go to web, themes, Drupak starter kit, templates, paragraph. Rather, paragraph only has one, so I will just copy the paragraph folder to the new site. Templates, and we'll paste it here. And now let us just open the paragraph.html. So we are where is it? I just can't see it here. Components and these are the templates. Okay, sorry. Paragraph and this one. Let us just match the field names. I will just explain it, but right now color mode is fine. Main title, let me just check if these are in accordance with the name of machine names of the paragraph type. So I'll go back to structure, paragraph types, accordion manage fields. So one is accordion main title, another one is color mode. So color mode is fine, but we need to change this one to and then accordion item. This, yes, this is fine, and inside it we have title and description. So if I go to structure, paragraph types, manage fields. Okay, so we need to change the description as well as accordion title. This one is description and this is field accordion title. Okay, let me explain what we are doing. We are inside the paragraph dash accordion.html.twig, which is rendering the accordion paragraph type. This is, if I remove this embed code from here, this one, let me just cut it. So this is normal Drupal stuff now. But if I paste this code, what it does is we are using the embed. So for you to link your data structure in Drupal to your Storybook, you had to use the embed most of the times. So that the block inside, we will go to the components accordion.twig. This is normal twig again, but this block accordion and then close and block. This is what gets replaced as a chunk of HTML if you use it with embed in your source. Source means paragraph. So this will be the name of the block there, and it will send any HTML which because we have defined it inside the slots. If had it not been in slots, we would have dealt with it differently, but since it is inside the slots, so we will have to use the block which is in the accordion twig file, this one, and name our paragraph dot accordion.html accordingly. So this is embed, and the block we are using is block accordion. Got it? Whatever is the name of that block there in the components twig, it must be this one, so that is replaced with this code. To embed a block for SDCs, you need to either it will be a module or a theme. So right now we are doing it in theme, so it's Drupak _ starter kit is the theme name, and then this is the component name. So as I said, you should not be making spelling errors. This component, it means it to include it, to embed it, and we can pass variables also from this parent theme in Drupal to that. So these are the variables. Color is what we need to pass. So this is the parent accordion type field. So we are passing it to the color variable and even the main title. These are two variables which are there in the accordion.twig. So this one, this is main title, and this is color. These are two variables. Got it? So if we need to replace variables, they are passed via this while you are embedding it with this is an object actually. So just color is the name of the variable, and this is the value actually. This is the name of the variable and this is the value, and these values actually are the parent paragraph fields values. Got it? This one is just I was trying something. I will explain it again. This is another variable, real is equal to. I will explain it why I have used it, but for now you just need to get into account these two. Then why is this block accordion here? If you need to pass a lot of stuff or nested stuff is, I mean, more accurate here, that you will have to use inside the block accordion, which is in the components twig. So here we are looping through the accordion field, this one, because if I go to structure, paragraph types, the parent paragraph types accordion, so it has this field as the entity reference revision. It has many values, 3 values right now. So it is looping through it, and it is actually outputting some HTML, and the HTML is of the nested paragraph item HTML. So this is actually, you can say this is constructing HTML for you. It can be done many other ways also, but this is one for the demo was fine. So this HTML will be passed to which location piece? To the block which has been mentioned as accordion in SDC, this one. So whatever HTML is constructed there, it will be replaced with this one. Is this fine?
Yep.
Okay. So now if I clear cache, because it is introduction of a new twig, hopefully it will be taking the SDC's markup from its component. So where it was, let us go to content. On Drupal courses, and here it is. So it's the same accordion which is there in Storybook. So the workflow of SDCs is so that a designer creates all its components inside the components folder even before developers start connecting Drupal's data with the components. So is this clear? There are two steps involved: setting up the storybook and creating Drupal's data structure, which you will have to then pass to the storybook configs or the components. There are some things I need to show. For example, if I the beauty of these SDC components is that you can write your JavaScript inside Drupal's behaviors, and I hope you know what Drupal behaviors are. Okay, so it lets you write all the JavaScript inside Drupal behaviors, and you can add your own CSS also, like here we have added, and then even your own JavaScript which is Drupal behavior based, and it will work inside the storybook interface as well as of course Drupal. And this is the data you feed for storybooks interface. So for example, if I open the storybook interface, this data actually is coming from this stories.json file. This is not real data, this is just dummy data. This one. So actually this is your markup. If you have created custom HTML markup, so you can paste it here. In JSON you will have to escape this, or maybe other new JavaScript feature can be used. But what I decided was to just test, if we are just going to test something in storybook, we can get rid of this key. What we can do is, if I go to the paragraphs.html.twig, this one, here I have passed an extra variable real is equal to true, for example. So if real is true, then it will, inside the twig block here, I can place that markup from storybook here and enclose it inside a if statement, that if this is not real, means if it is real it won't display that extra markup, but if it is not real, means storybook is picking it. So you can enclose that in the if condition here. Got it?
Yes.
So that was if in case you don't like to place your markup inside the JSON or even the YAML version of it. So that's one of the ways you can do it. But here you can give it parameters. So for example, if you need to change some text, for example the main title check, if there is a button you need to check a lot of you need to check the extent of text it can easily show. So you can, for example, do something like this. This is the beauty of storybook. You can change a lot of stuff. If those are, the variables can be changed here. Okay, and even the dark mode and that can be changed here. So if for example the is light, so it will show the lighter version of it. This is the light version. Even you can go directly to this to show the client what the lighter version of it would be. Got it? And in Drupal what we have done, we have specified a field for it here. This is the darker version. If I edit it and change the drop down from dark to light, this one, hopefully it will be light, this one. So it's exactly, it works the same like it is in storybook. Is this clear?
Yes.
Now as I said, we can write our own CSS which we have written, but Tailwind CSS is a powerful tool. We need to install that in our theme. The next steps are related to installing Tailwind CSS, and it again is going to be a build process for us. So not very complex, but still needs a lot of your attention. Any guesses where should we install Tailwind CSS?
Theme.
Inside the theme folder. So we'll go to the Drupak underscore starter kit and create a new file here. What will we call it? Package.json. don't mix it up with the package.json we created in the root of the project Lando. This is now inside the theme. Okay, so the next thing is or we should have run a command. It is cd web themes custom and Drupak underscore target. Here we should have run Lando npm init, so it would have automatically created that command for us, that file for us, sorry. So package name is this, all of these are default ones, we just need to just enter clicks. So it has written this thing for us, right? The next command to issue is it will install Tailwind CSS, but remember, not as a production ready thing. It will be a dependency, a saved if, like it is only for development. So I will let you know why it is so. Normally before this all this exercise I used to personally include Tailwind in the theme, in Drupal theme, but this approach is much better. So in command prompt and I have the package.json file open so that you can see what is being installed with these commands. Okay, so in dependency we have now Tailwind CSS. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, the next step is we need to configure Tailwind CSS. For that we need to create a file and name it tailwind.config.js. So in the root, again root of the theme, new file tailwind.config.js, and always double check if you are creating the files in the right directory, because somebody like me who is old school easily can forget the directories inside VS Code. So if it is in Drupak starter kit and this is here, okay, here we need to add this piece of code. How many of you know how Tailwind works actually?
It's compiling from the classes being used.
Exactly, like there it is very open-ended sort of framework. For example, you can call it something like, for every CSS rule or property you can have some CSS class. So there can be literally unlimited sort of classes in a framework like this. So what Tailwind does is Tailwind knows if all of its classes are used, the size of the file will be very heavy, this is file. So what it does is it goes through these directories, whatever directories you specify them, and if you have used some of the Tailwind CSS classes, it will pick it from there and compile it into a single file. So for example, only the ones you have used will be collected by Tailwind. That's why we are specifying it which directories to use. So if for example you have used some Tailwind classes which are not being picked by GIT of the Tailwind system, it means you haven't specified that directory here. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay, so this is what we needed only. Tailwind.config.js, we have these lines of code. The next step is we will create a main.css file inside the CSS directory in the Drupak dot and copy this code to it. So if we come to CSS and inside the CSS folder, not the components folder, okay, or it can be anywhere, but how can I directly make it inside here? main.css. Let us just double confirm if it is in. Yes, it is fine now. So main.css is the file we have created, and we will add these 3 lines of code here. Got it? So if you have to write your own CSS, you will write it here in this, but this CSS actually will be compiled to somewhere else in the build folder in the next steps. Okay, so we will write our CSS or whatever here, and it will get compiled into one more file. So that's why the next step is, for that we need post CSS. So post CSS is JavaScript based CSS. We can call it CSS picking. It has the CSS choosing power sort of, and you can Google about post CSS yourself, but we need to install it as well. And it has auto prefixer also. So if there are some browser specific CSS to write, it does it automatically. So that is also one of the advantages. Inside the same theme folder, we need to do it. Lando npm install. And what changes do you expect after this? The package.json file will be updated. So we have these 2 items, auto prefixer and post CSS now. Is this clear?
Yes.
The next step is, we need to create a post CSS config.js file also in the root of the theme. So again I will come to this new file and post css.config.js. Here we need to have these lines of code. What this does is, it imposes Tailwind CSS, and then using that Tailwind file we had created, and also it requires auto prefixer. That's it. The next step is, we need Webpack to bundle all of this stuff for us, and some of the other Webpack related modules also, like Webpack CLI, Post CSS Loader, Mini CSS Extract plugin, CSS Loader, and all of these are dependencies. So all of them have their, somebody who is very much into JavaScript world or the npms, he would know all of these, like we know what Drupal modules are. So for now you just need to copy all this, and it will install Webpack CLI and all of these Post CSS Loader and CSS Extractor plugins for us. Okay, it has been installed. Now if we check the package.json again, so it has extra substance in it, auto prefixer, CSS loader, post CSS, all of these. The next step is, we will create a Webpack needs an entry point, so we need to create a main.js file for now, and it will be inside the JS directory. So inside the JS directory, if there is any, if there is no JS directory, we will create one here, JS, and here we will create a file. Is this directory or file? Okay. new folder for JS. Okay, JS already is there. Here we will create a main.js file, and in it we will only use this import this. Now it will move it to after the web page settings. I will explain it what it does, but right now just take it as this. We have created a JS folder, and in it we have created main.js and then this line of code. The next step is to create a webpack config file, which is webpack.config.js. It is again in the root of the theme. So new file webpack.config.js. This is a bit tricky one, but we will go with it. Copy this code into webpack.config.js. Okay, so entry point is that main JS file we created. Then the output is also main.js. It will output it into the the build folder, this folder we will create it now. And these lines of code are needed to extract CSS from main.js. We have included here in the JS directory into this one. Alright, so main.js, yes, fine. Let us create that build directory, because it throws an error if it is not there. So inside the theme we will create a new folder, call it build. So all the output of this webpack bundling will end up here in the build directory. And we will do one more step, and that is now add the following scripts section in the main theme package.json file. So we already have a theme, the script section in the main theme package.json file, which is this one, and it has these scripts. Remember, we did it for Storybook also, this one. So now if I run Lando npm run build, it will build all of this for us. And where will it output it? Inside the build directory as main.css and JavaScript file. If it is empty, maybe it won't do it. So what should be the command?
npm run build.
Npm run build.
Lando npm run build.
Yes, Lando npm run build. Run build. If there are no errors, but there are,
We did not import the modules in web. We did not import the modules in webpack file. I think so.
the path maybe is problematic here. Let us just debug it. Webpack.config.js.
Two modules at the top of the line.
Yeah. These ones. You guys were very right. I thought I had all covered. Is this fine now?
Yep. Let's give it a shot.
Congratulations, it has worked. So now if I go to the build folder, it has two rather all the files we need, main.css and main.js files, right? JS will be in empty because it is not doing anything, and but in main.css we have all the Tailwind styles. Okay, so one thing, what do you infer from all this? We didn't include Tailwind.css directly because we had to do this, right? Now we will include this main.css. Got it?
Compiled one.
Exactly. Okay, the next step is, what is missing? Any Drupal theming gurus? Shabas? Will this automatically get into Drupal theme, or we need to do something?
Libraries file.
Libraries. We need libraries, right? Okay. We will need this library main. We will call it main to the starter kit libraries.yml. So these here, or maybe at the bottom of the page of your theme, this we will add this. The next step, we will, because it needs to be on every page, we will add it to .info.yml as well as this Drupak underscore starter kit slash, the name of the library is main. These two things we needed, and which we have done.
Yeah.
The next step is, what is the next step, Shabas?
Load this library.
Exactly, to clear the cache, and for that I need to open one more instance of the project. Where is SDC? Okay. Hopefully, if I refresh the page, there will be some change in it, because maybe that CSS has been included now.
Yes.
And you can double check by here it is, and it is Tailwind. So we have successfully installed Tailwind CSS. Now the next step is, we need to install Alpine Js as well, and as we are aiming to use Alpine Js a lot in this site, so we can directly use it as an external library. I will copy this again from my older site so that we can save some time. I will go to the theme folder, and it's in its libraries.yml. We have an entry for Alpine J. This is Alpine JS settings, and its version is 2.82. Rather, I had changed it to 3, but let us do it now. 13.3. So just copy this text and move it to libraries.this. Is this fine? The next step is, as we have to use it again on all pages, we can do it inside the theme. Sorry, info. And it's going to be Drupak underscore starter kit slash, sorry, Alpine. Again, we need to clear caches so that Alpine is in the theme as well. Now I have just created a small just for the demo purpose, that I can show you why we needed this Alpine JS. So if I go to the components in my older site, toggler is the name of it, copy, and I'll move it to the new SDC site. Components and paste item. So this is now another component. If I open the toddler just to show you what actually is happening,
Component.
Okay, so this is the toggler. Again, the most important file for Drupal is component.yml, and the most important file for Storybook is .stories.yml or JSON. So we will check what it is. The name is toggler props object, which will always be object. The required one is one of the variables, and variables come in the properties section. Then it is actually going to be a text. The type is text. In the code, it actually is a text. Then the slots again are the chunk of HTML which will come here, or maybe some nested stuff, right? So in the variable name is content in slots. So in your .tick file, this is the code for Alpine Js. We have initiated it as open false initially with xdash data. Once it is clicked, what it does is it shows this content, and this is again the name of the block, and we will use in Drupal, we will use embed for it. So I haven't done that part, but we can probably check how it works in Storybook. So in Storybook, we have the title is toggler, arc type is text, and then these are the examples stories, this one and this one. These are two ones stories. One is welcome text, another one is
Text.
and again I have used the variable content here so that it can get something out of it. So this is all Storybook stuff. If we run Storybook again, or maybe if it is watching it, it will have a second one is which is toggler.
Yes.
And toggler has, okay, let us clear caches. Okay, so now the Storybook part is working, though we haven't yet created any paragraph for it, right? The Storybook part is working, and if I click on welcome, it will show the text underneath it. If I click it again, it is toggling it. So what's the advantage of using Alpine Js here? Because we didn't need to specify our own JavaScript for it. It is empty. JavaScript is just empty, and with just this code, which is used inside the tags in HTML, with these 2 or 3 lines, it is letting us open content inside it. Now I will leave it to you, and maybe in the second portion of the presentation we will create a paragraph type, call it toggler, and pass it these will be variables. Actually we can pass it this one, link text. So we'll need probably 2 fields. One will be the title field of the button, and the second one will be a nested paragraph item. So it can be anything. We can do it now, but it will take time. So maybe in the next lecture we'll continue with it if we have time. So what we have studied, almost all of these. We initially installed Drupal 10 via Lando, then we set up a custom theme via the new command which we just issued. Then we set it up the Storybook for it, installed SDC related modules, Tailwind CSS, inner theme, Alpine Js, and we created accordion as well. Is this clear?
Yes.
Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. Hi again. So after the break, I have created a paragraph type for the toggler component. So if I go to paragraph types and toggler, it has 2 fields. One of them is the link field, and then other one is the nested paragraph item field. So if you go to the If you go to the toggler component type, it has this content variable as a slot, so any nested content can go inside it. For this I have created a nested paragraph, which is this one. The name is a bit confusing, but the toggle content, and this is the link on which the toggling will take place. So for example, if I add a new content, and add a toggler here, for example I need to add an image which will be the content which will be revealed. So for example this one, and then this is the link, show me image. So if I just save it, and click on the show image, so it will show the image. It is actually coming from this toggler component inside the components directory. And in the Storybook reference we also have this. So if I click on welcome, it will show me any some text here. But if I pass it any of the nested paragraph items in Drupal, it will show that just like this. Also I have created another component, and I will show you what it is. Actually there are two components. One is in the items directory, it is called button, and the next one is in the molecules directory. And if you are aware of the atoms and molecules in designs, component based design, so this is what it is. Atoms has atom button has this YML component.yml. so the name is actually, if you use atoms slash this, so in Storybook it will appear under its own category, which is atoms. The props again is objects, and in properties we have three variables: link text, link, and button type. I'm doing this to show you how an atom should work. So a button, an individual button should be an atom. If I go to the Storybook and click on these are the items actually: primary button, this is primary button, and this is secondary button. So in stories.yml file I have these two as examples. That's why they are showing up. Primary button, the R's are welcome, this, and this is a link. And here the secondary button is link text welcome, button type is secondary. On these two types I am actually changing the color of the buttons, and this is a link. If we go to the button.twig file, which is a mandatory twig file in components, SDC components, so we have a variable of link, which will be actually the URL, and then the button type, which is also a variable. So in stories.yml we are passing those variable values as args here, just to test things. And in CSS I have the CSS for these primary and secondary classes. So these are the items: primary button and secondary button. Now in Drupal it has a correspondent button paragraph types structure. Paragraph types, I have created a button paragraph type. It has just these two fields, one is list text and the other one is link. So if I create a content with the button, for example I just need to add one button, so I will go to basic page, test button component, and then I will add a button. Button should have a URL, for example link text is Drupak, and for example it is going to be a secondary button, so I'll just choose secondary and save. So this is now a secondary button. If I change it to primary, it will be a primary color button, this one. Now I have done this component differently than what is advised as slots, because I think the markup slots can have very open-ended markup, and if you have to control nested atoms and molecules having atoms in it, we need to have very peculiar markup for our components in Storybook. So if I come to molecules, I have created another molecule known as button group, which will actually pull atoms from this button component. So the name of the component is molecules button group. That's why in Storybook it appears here. These all these 4 buttons actually are these atom molecules grouped together. Next, in components we have buttons or components. So I have just added one variable, which is the property buttons. The type is text, title is this, and description is this. Then in stories.yml I have these arc types as buttons. The control is text. So in Storybook interface it will be a text option. Then in stories, this is actually the examples. So in ours we have buttons, and here I have added an array of the button types, the link and link text. So actually I wanted the input of this component to be just data based, the field values based, so that we can demo it in the Storybook interface. And from Drupal also, this twig expects a variable buttons, and those buttons actually are the link type, and these 3 types of associative array elements. So it is looping through it, and then it is including the button atom, which is a component in SDC, and then we are passing the relevant variables to it. So link text, this and this. What the expectation of this twig file is that this component is that Drupal template should pass this component template, this variable as the array, which we can then reference like this. So in paragraphs, I have created a button group paragraph type, and I am setting the buttons array here. We can do this in pre-process paragraphs also in PHP, but I am doing it currently in twig file. So what this code does is, I will try to upload it to the GitHub also. This actually creates an array of arrays, nested array actually, and then it passes it to the button group component type and buttons. So actually this is now a variable having nested arrays of these inner paragraph items. So in Drupal, let me show you how I have created this paragraph type. We have one which I already have demoed, the button paragraph type, and then the button group paragraph type. So it has this is the name of the machine name of the field for paragraphs. So it has a reference to the button paragraph type. So it actually is a molecule. You can call it we can call this button group as a molecule, and this is the atom. So it is actually accessing the atom. And the most interesting part of it is that we are actually constructing this array for our components, so that a component is 100% independent of Drupal. So while demoing content to our clients, we may not have started any paragraph templates or block templates in Drupal, but we still will be able to because of this variable buttons, and we are passing this as an array to the Storybook example, so we can demo the content beforehand to the client. And the other benefit is that the whole content and the markup is based on this file buttongroup.twig, which is the SDC component file. So changing it, any of the markup here will actually change in future any paragraph related markup as well. But in previous examples, the drawback was that our components were dependent on, for example, in accordion or in the toggle paragraph types, our output was dependent on this paragraph type. So again, Drupal is involved. But if we make arrays like these, like button group, here the markup is only dependent upon the component, because we are in Drupal will only be passing this variable as expected by the component. So this was all we did. We have some let me just recap. We have created these 4 components: accordion, and then we have buttons, a button atom, and the molecules has a button group molecule, so it actually refers this one. Then the toggler one, and toggler demos the slots, so any nested paragraph items can go inside it. The same I have done in accordion. So accordion has a slot as well, so the accordion content goes inside it, and the twig file is what is using this as a block, and in the paragraph accordion we are embedding it here, and looping through all the content is being rendered here and being passed to this block in the accordion.twig file. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, you can contact us on our website address, or we will be happy to help you with all this. Thank you very much, and thank you again for all the community members who are involved in making SDCs in Drupal a reality. So we can now have all the components and pages inside without intervention of Drupal. Once that is ready, we can link Drupal's content with the components. Thank you very much.